Hi everyone, and thanks for joining me today for another episode of Gold Wingnut Live. Each week I answer your questions about things happening in Sumter County and the villages. These weekly broadcasts and the construction update videos I produce are two of the ways I bring information to you about the construction happenings here in the villages. At Gold Wingnut Productions, I also provide a photo-video service for new homes under construction. If you're building a new home in the villages and you need someone to watch the construction for you and send you regular updates, then contact me through my website, Dawn.encarnacion, and arrange for a photo-video package for your new home. I've nearly 20 years in the construction industry as a project manager, and in the last 6 years, Gold Wingnut Productions has provided this valuable service to over 300 homeowners. I know the work the various trades are doing, and I know when the work's being done right and when it's not. I'm not just taking pictures like some others do. I'm watching your home build with a trained eye to help ensure everything is done right. So go to goldwingnut.com and arrange your package today. Now let's get started with the show.
This is the shittest dog breed, the bloomin' Golden Retriever. They are like Labrador's posh yet utterly useless cousin. Golden Retrievers are like nature's ADHD case study, endlessly bounding around with the grace of a rhino on roller skates, leaving chaos in their wake and looking baffled as to why you're even remotely irritated. Talk intelligence, or rather, the lack thereof. Golden Retrievers are famed for their loyalty, sure, but this is blind loyalty. There's more logic in a lump of porridge. They'll fetch a ball until your arm goes numb, and they'll do it with a gleeful expression that suggests they'd repeat this idiocy for eternity if you let them. It's a touching devotion if you are flattered by the affection of a creature that can't comprehend the basic principle of fetch. Often marketed as the perfect family dog. Really? For what family? The Addams family? This dog sheds like it's a paid professional, leaving hair on every conceivable surface. Wear black? Forget it. Own a sofa? Might as well toss it now. These golden bundles of joy don't just bring happiness. They bring the essence of a fabric softener commercial straight to your living room. Only this one's somehow sticky and reeks faintly of damp fur. In the end, Golden Retrievers are like the internet. Entertaining in small doses, but leave it alone for 5 minutes and it'll destroy your house.
Pull up that clip.
Be honest, you really thought that was solid ground, didn't you?
It looked convincing, man. The leaves had structure.
Structure? They were floating. That jump was pure confidence, zero research.
Sometimes you got to leap before you think. That's faith.
That's physics, buddy. Hey, at least I committed.
Yeah, committed to swimming lessons.
Graduated top of my class, doggy paddle major. I swear it really looked like land, though.
My eyes confirmed it. My paws just followed orders.
Your eyes need new management.
They're on probation.
So what, you testing every piece of ground now?
Absolutely. Every step's an investigation.
Yeah. You've got trust issues with land.
All I'm saying is water shouldn't be that sneaky.
Yeah, next time you jump a pond, make sure you're not aiming for a floating salad.
Man, you're never letting that go. That's all the time we have.
Remember, stay unleashed out there.
You ever think maybe dogs are just angels in disguise?
Angels? Like wings and halos and all that?
Nah, no wings needed, man. Just hearts big enough to hold broken people together.
Yeah, come to think of it, we show up right when humans need us most. Coincidence? I don't think so.
Yeah.
They call us protectors, companions, best friends, but really, we just love.
Mm-hmm.
No judgment, no conditions, just love.
Yeah.
You ever notice how we don't ask questions when they cry? We just stay. That's it. Sometimes that's all they need.
Exactly.
Humans wait for miracles, we are the miracle. Warm fur when the world feels cold. Eyes that say, you're not alone.
And when we finally have to go, maybe we're not really leaving. Maybe it's just mission complete.
Yeah. Love delivered.
Yeah, angels don't always have wings. Sometimes they just have paws. So if you're lucky enough to be loved by a dog, you've already met an angel.
So we all know when people move into their homes, especially in Florida, we're limited for storage space. So what we do is we come in and help create storage space by maximizing what is currently available in their kitchens and their closets and other rooms. So a few of the things that we really pride ourselves on is communication with the customer, and our attention to detail is second to none. If you're looking to transform your kitchen, closet, or any other space in your home, give us a call or check out our website to book an appointment.
Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Gold Wingnut Live. I'm your host, Don Wiley. It's Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock, and we're here to talk about everything here in the villages in Sumter County, whatever you want to talk about. Excuse me. I'm still a little under the weather from last week. Still don't know what happened. I got some sort of head cold. I can't get my ears to clear, but hey, I'll make it through today. I'm all set. So, this week's sponsor is, of course, Kitchen-Wise, Closet-Wise. Scott and April do a great job. You won't go wrong working with them. Other sponsors this week are, of course, Surf to Turf Home Inspections, Country Village Power Equipment, Magic Stairs, Shade Masters, all great vendors. If you have a need for their services, I highly recommend you give them a try, give them a call, let them know that you heard about it on my show. They're great contractors. All right, so I'm going to get over this cold yet. Anyway, if you have questions about this first part of the show, please kind of hold them until later on. There's a spot where I'll ask for questions, but I want to talk about the bonds. Now, gosh, in 2019, I did one of my first talking YouTube videos where I actually spoke, and it was about the maintenance assessment, the bonds, and then a year later I did two on the amenity fee. I figured it was time to go readdress those because, you know, how do I want to put this? The information's gotten a little stale. The video's gotten a little stale. It's way out of date. It's amazing the changes in the last 5.5 years, 6 years. But anyway, so I'm going to go over the information again today. Next week, I'm going to go over the maintenance assessment. And the week after that, I'm going to go over the amenity fee. And then I'll post these in the playlist with the rest of them for the information videos. If you look at the links in the description of this video today, this live stream, you'll see the link to the playlist with those original YouTube videos concerning the bond maintenance assessment amenity fee. So let's go ahead and get started. Let me make sure I can do this. It's like, you know, some days the computer wins and some days I lose. All right, so we are going to talk about the bond. All right, let's see if I can make this work. All right, enough with the James Bond stuff. It seemed appropriate. Okay, so what are bonds in the villages? The bonds in the villages are, quite simply, the funds that are used to build the infrastructure are financed with the bond, okay? This would be things like storm drains, the retention ponds, the residential streets, sidewalks, things like that. So they're a part of the cost of the house. Yes, other builders don't use bonds. They just incorporate it into the cost of the house. We'll talk some more about that in a little while. So that's what the bonds are, okay? Why does the villages use a bond? Why does the villages have bonds, whereas other places you might have lived may not have had them? So, valid question. Basically, it's something that's allowed under Florida statute, Chapter 190. And Chapter 190 governs what the responsibilities of the community development districts are. You know, when you build a house, you got to put streets in, you got to put storm drains, you got to put water in, utilities, things like that. That's just a given. Using a bond is about cash flow, okay? And in business, cash flow is everything. When you look at the size of these bonds, 50, 75, $150 million, that is money that they have to bankroll, cost that they have to bankroll until they sell the houses for most builders. For the villages, that gives them the opportunity to do the infrastructure development, stuff that's going on for a year, 2 years, before they even build the first house. And because that cost is there, that actually adds cost to your home, because the builder has to, if they don't use a bond system, they have to carry those costs. Those carrying costs are interest. When you're talking interest on $100 million, that's a lot of money. That's going to be added to your house. So it actually allows the total cost of the house to be slightly less, because they don't have to worry about those carrying costs. The bonds will pay them as they go along for that work. They don't make a whole lot of money on it, but they do make a little bit of profit, but they would anyway, no matter what. And so Victoria's saying she's seen bonds in numerous other states. Okay. Coming here, this was the first time I'd heard of them, and most people I talked to, they'd never seen bonds like they do here in the villages. But let's continue on. Okay, so what does the bond pay for? So I've already touched on this. It pays for residential streets, sidewalks, common areas like the boulevards, which is the grass medians. It pays for retention ponds. It puts in the electrical. It puts in the stormwater. We talked about that already. The water systems, both the potable water and the reclaimed water that we use for irrigations. So that's what it's paying for. Again, you would pay for that no matter what. It's just they keep it separate. So it does have some advantages, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. Let's see. What's next? What does it not pay for? The bond doesn't pay for amenities, okay? So your postal station, the guard shacks, the rec centers, none of that are paid for with the bond. The developer pays for that. Now, I've seen the invoicing process on the bonds when I was a CDD 10 supervisor. I got to see the invoices, and it's extremely complex. They break it down by unit. It's so incredibly complex, it's unbelievable. Invoices are hundreds of pages long, but they're detailed so that they can track every dollar. So it's a good process, so that we know what the right stuff is being paid for, and not the stuff that the developer is responsible for. Now, on some of the county provided roads, all right, that would be like Marshbend Trail, Central Parkway, Bexley Trail, McNeil. Those are paid. Those aren't paid for by the developer. Those aren't paid for by the residents directly. Those are paid for by the county. All right. Those are considered the major infrastructure for the area, and your what the heck do they call that? Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank here. I went through all this already this morning. I've been chewing on this since about 8 o'clock this morning. What do they call those fees? Anyway, those are paid for by the county. You pay for them when you buy your house. Anyway, let's go on. Why is my bond different from my friend's bond? So if you start comparing bonds amounts for between subdivisions, then there is some significant differences. Specifically, especially when you start comparing a premier home to a patio villa. Big differences. So what we need to do is I need to go over how we determine what the bond amount is for a home. First thing you do is you take the bond amount, the total bond for the phase of the CDD that your home is being built in. Now, it could be the whole CDD. Bigger CDDs now are sometimes 2 or 3 phases. CDD 15 has got 2 phases. CDD 16, I believe, has 2 phases. So they just break it up into smaller bonds, because these new CDDs are 2,500 acres. They're absolutely huge. When the villages started, they were less than 1,000 acres. So it has changed. It's a lot of money. So you take that dollar amount and you divide it by the number of accessible acres in the phase of the CDD. Now, what are accessible acres? That's the important thing. These are the properties that pay taxes. So if you look at a subdivision, you've got all the houses. Well, there's a certain amount of acreage for the houses, but it doesn't include the roads. Okay, so you may have 1,000 acres in your phase, but only 800 of it is accessible. Okay, because the streets don't pay taxes. Retention ponds don't pay taxes. They exist. Okay, so they just break it up by the houses. It's not that big of a deal. It normally runs between 80 and 95% of the acres are accessible. A lot depends on the layout of the CDD, something like CDD 12, okay, the Marsh Bend area. They've got some really long roads in there, and a lot of retention ponds and things like that, as compared to some of the northern ones where they're very compact. So the ratios shift around a little bit, but we'll move on. Okay, then you take a subdivision and you multiply. Let's go back. So you're going to divide that bond by the number of acres. Okay, that gives you a bond rate per acre. And then you multiply that by the number of acres in your subdivision. So maybe your subdivision has 12.5 acres. So you multiply those out. And then you divide it by the number of homes in that unit or subdivision. So this gives you a bond amount per house, which is why between, for example, designer communities, there's different bond rates, because the acreage is a little bit different. Lot sizes make a huge difference. The house I bought in Moultrie Creek, the lots are very large, especially on the peripheral properties, which adds to the total acreage, which makes the bond in Verandas North the 3rd highest bond in CDD 15. It just works out that way. But when you look at a patio villa, there might be 9 acres and 75 or 80 homes in there. So the numbers it's just math, okay? But that's why they vary from unit to unit. All right, so let's take an example of this, okay? So unit 967, this is in CDD 10 phase 1. The bond was issued in 2012. It's a courtyard villa subdivision. This is my old subdivision, okay? The amount of the phase 1 bonds was $77 million, and there were 788.39 accessible acres. Unit 967 was only 8.47 acres, but it was 59 homes. Okay, so we got all the variables that we need now. So the amount of bond per acre is about $97,000. Oh, $98,000 almost, okay? Times the number of acres, 8.47, $827,000. You know, it's a lot of money. And you have to remember, they're stripping out organics so that you don't get any settling. They put in clay to control the drainage. They do a tremendous amount of prep work that to make any of the subdivisions. Storm drains, you know, you got storm drains, you got curbs, you got the residential streets, and so on. And that's what all this goes to pay for, okay? And then you divide it out, and they have a bond of about $14,000. Now, compared to current prices, that seems pretty low, and it is. But you got to remember, this is 13 years ago this bond was issued. Think about what a car cost 13 years ago. It goes up every year. The cost goes up, price of fuel goes up, price of equipment goes up, labor goes up. That's why the bonds keep increasing year over year. So let's continue on. Let's look at another example. So again, here we had a $14,000 bond. Now we're going to look at Unit 217. This is also in CDD 10, Phase 1 with a 2012 bond. This has 39.79 acres, but there's 177 homes, okay? And again, the same bond amount. That works out to, again, the same bond per acre, but it's almost $3.8 million. Vinny reminded me, there you go, impact fees. Thank you, Vinny. That's what pays for the county roads. Brain fart, sorry about that. So, Tammy, we're going to get to your question in just a minute. That's one of the many things that we're going to cover today. So, again, it's $3.8 million for Unit 217, or about $21,400 per home. Okay? Now, that's each home. Yes, some lots are bigger than others. So if you have a big lot, you get an advantage. If you have a smaller lot, you get a disadvantage. It just depends. You know, in 967, when I lived there, I had the largest lot in the neighborhood. But I paid the same amount as all my neighbors. It was to my advantage. But okay, that shows you what happens. Designer homes are on bigger lots. Patio villas are on smaller lots. Courtyard villas are on a little larger lots. So this is why they differ from neighborhood to neighborhood. Okay. Let's move on. Where does the bond money come from? So these are investment bonds. I believe the unit of issue on the investment bonds is $50,000. So they sell them in, you know, each bond is $50,000. The last time they sold bonds that I know of was Phase 2 unit, Phase 2 for CDD 15, and they had like 20 times the number of buyers that they had for actual bonds that they wanted to sell. It was incredible. They're very highly rated. The Villages community, not the developer. I'm not talking about the developer, I'm talking about the community, because it's the government, the CDD government that issues the bonds, has a very strong rating, and the bonds are very highly valued. So they're in high demand. Can you buy them yourself? I believe you can, but you're going to have to go through a broker, and good luck, because it's a very high demand. You think it's hard getting a lot in the lottery? Try buying a bond. Okay. So these are investors investing in a property. This is not a loan. Okay? There's an exception to that. I'll get to that in shortly. But that's where the money comes from. And who gets the bond money? The CDD gets the bond money. Okay? So the bonds are sold. That is a big pool of money that goes to the CDD. And as the developer continues to build the infrastructure, they invoice on a monthly basis, and they get paid. This keeps their cash flow good. They don't have they don't have their money tied up in sewer pipes and water lines, okay? So that's who gets the money. Is the developer getting rich off the bonds? So many people have this impression that the developer is getting paid the bond money that you send in every year in your property taxes. And that's not the case. That's going actually to the CDD. By the time your house is built, the developer really has no interest or control over the bonds whatsoever. The CDD issues the bonds. They use a private consulting firm. They're issued normally through banks like, who'd they say, Goldman Sachs, Franklin Templeton, American Century, Putnam, Lord Abbott are some of the companies that they've used in the past for issuing these bonds. The developer doesn't have their hand in the till like many people think they do. Okay? So again, who owns the bonds? Investors. Many of these are institutional investors, but it's a good investment. And we're able to, because they're so solid and they're so low risk, we're able to demand a lower interest rate than most bonds on the market. Okay, this is no different than the county issuing a bond or a city issuing bonds to build something. It's basically the same thing. So what happens if they don't spend all the bond money? So good question. This happened in CDD 9, I believe it is. Yeah, CDD 9. They had, I don't remember what their bond amount was, but they had like $5 million left over. Okay? Do you get a refund on that? No, you don't. Okay? They put that into the general fund. It goes into the capital reserves. Okay? That's part of the reason why, CDD 9 has such huge reserves right now, is because they started out with some extra money. And that's good. That's good for long term. You want capital reserves because things come up. All right? But what happens if they're short? Okay? Well, that happened in CDD 10 when I was one of the supervisors there. Actually, I was signing a bunch of invoices in CDD 10, and they have roughly $1.5 million worth of unpaid invoices from the developer. Now, as the bonds get paid, there's money held into an account. If there is money left over after the last payment is made to the bondholders, then that money would go to the developer up to the amount that they've been invoiced. But if there's no money left over, then the developer gets to eat it. So, it's not a guaranteed price for the work. They bill for the actual work, and if they have to do more work than they had initially estimated, and they go over budget, and there's not enough bond money to cover it, then there we go. You don't get it. They don't get any more money for it. Only what the bond amount is. All right. Moving on. Okay. Where can you find about the bond amount for your house? That's on the districtgov.org website. Let's pull that up. Yeah, there's the web browser. I'll show you where to find it. All right. So, all right. You go to your districts, residential districts. Let's go to 15. Oh, you know what? Trying to remember. It's been a while since I looked at this. Sorry, going off in the wrong spot. There we go. Finances and bonds. Go to Services, Administration, Finances, and Bonds. There goes my voice. Okay, and we're going to look at Sumter County. We're going to look at District 15, and then you've got a whole chart here, and you can find your community. This is the unit number that's on your village's ID, your green card, or if you're not on the title, your blue card. So we'll just take one here, and it shows you here. The interest rate is 5.19%. This is Unit 219. It says there are 175 lots on 35.05 acres, and the actual bond amount is $47,824.88. And that works out to 3335.03 annual payments. So that's where you find it. Okay, you just go to your CDD and you click on your unit. Let's see if we can find. I'm trying to remember which ones are patio villas. Okay, this one has 60 units, and the bond is $24,000. So this is a villa community. So this is phase 2. So phase 2 is Stacy Villas. So there you go. That's where you find it. Pretty easy. All right, let's go back to the PowerPoint presentation. All right. I can't see it. It's hiding behind it. Dang you. All right. So that's where you find it. All right. Let's see. Can the CDD issue a new bond that I would have to pay? Well, the answer is yes, they could. They haven't, though. There's no reason to issue an additional bond at this point. Now, I say that. I go back to my old CDD, CDD 10, where I was chairman, and we were looking at about a $2.5 million expense coming up in 10 years. And we had, we didn't have the capital reserves. So, you know, our choices were to increase our annual maintenance assessment so that we could stockpile reserves, or we could issue a bond. Issuing a bond is, you know, that's not a very popular thing to do. Nobody wants to see that. So we ended up putting away $200,000 a year for the next 10 or 11 years in our budget to build up those capital reserves. Much less painful way. They continue to do this even to this day. All the supervisors on CDD 10, last I knew, were still on board with this process, and it makes sense. This is the money was going to be used for resurfacing villa roads. So they can, but they never have done this. Now, if they build a new section, for example, CDD 4, they built solar. I can't even remember. They built 2 different sets of courtyard villas at the far north end in Marion County, and they issued some additional bonds for those. But those bonds are only paid by the residents in that phase. They're not paid by the rest of the people. So even phase 2 bonds in CDD 15 right now, which is what's selling, that's Edenfield, LaGrange, and those villas. Those don't impact people who own in Water's Edge or Well Point. Okay, so let's see. Will your bond go up? Generally, I would say no, because it's an investment bond, and we're guaranteeing that the individuals are being paid that amount, a certain amount. So, and that's what the payments that you make annually are based on. Can it go down? Absolutely. In fact, just about every CDD north of 44, their bonds have all gone down, because at the 10-year point they can reissue the bond. When they reissue the bond, they renegotiate the rate, they resell it, and people are still happy to buy the reissued bonds. Sometimes the annual assessment goes down to $300. That's what it did in CDD 10 when we reissued the phase 1 bonds. Now, and those are generally bonds. Now, on one of CDD 10's bonds reissuing, Citizens First Bank ended up being the people that we went with for those bonds, because they were willing to take and offer a lower interest rate than what we were able to offer as an interest rate to bondholders. So basically we got a lower interest rate, so we went with them. It was a good deal for everybody. Everybody made out. So basically the bonds aren't going to go up, because if the market is bad, they're not going to reissue the bonds. Kenny Blocker, who is the district manager, he is a sharp cookie when it comes to numbers, and he has always been very active in making sure that we get the best deal when we issue these bonds, either issuing new or reissuing. Okay. Does the bond ever go away? Absolutely it does. These bonds are issued for 30 years. If you live up in CDD 1 or 2, and I think most of CDD 3's bonds are gone now too, but CDD 1 and 2, if I'm not mistaken, I know 1 definitely, and I'm pretty sure 2, they have no bonds, because it's been 20 or 30 years since the bonds were issued, and they've been paid for. Okay? That's a good thing. Once they're paid, they're gone. Again, that was for the initial infrastructure. The ongoing cost, that's the maintenance assessment, that's next week. All right. Can you pay extra on your bond? The answer to that is no. Okay? This is an investment vehicle. It is not a loan. So it's not like your mortgage where you can, or your car payment, where you can dump extra cash in there if you get a good refund or something from the IRS, or your boss gives you a big bonus. You can't do that. It's just they're not structured that way. But you can pay your bond off early. So there are some rules for doing this. I think you have to pay it off before July 1st, because that's when the calculations are done by the tax collector. If you pay it off after July 1st and before the 1st of the year, then you make one more payment, but it's an annual payment paid on your property tax bill. So yes, you can pay off your bond early, but you just got to look at the dates to make sure you're doing the most advantageous. Okay. So on that note, all right. Why doesn't we're going to get back to paying off the bonds here in just a minute. Why doesn't the developer pay for the infrastructure cost instead of passing the cost on to homeowners with bonds like other builders? Well, other builders aren't paying these infrastructure costs. They're just rolling it into your house. I got news for you. The developer doesn't pay a dime for anything in building our houses or the infrastructure. It's all passed on to the buyers of the homes. It's just a simple fact of business, okay? If they paid for anything, it's coming out of their profits. So how do they compensate for that? They raise their cost, their prices. There you go. Other builders aren't doing it. They say, oh, look, we've got no bonds. There's a couple of developments here in Florida that say no bonds that are near the villages because they think that's a big deal. You're paying it. You're going to pay it. It's in your cost of your house. Okay? Do other CDDs have bonds? You betcha they do. And in fact, if you look in the paper, there's frequently new CDDs popping up all the time. They talk about how much their bond payments are. When you look at the bond payments, they are significantly higher than what you're paying here in the villages. Why is that? Economies of scale. The villages, when they're issuing a bond, they're doing it right now for CDDs that are 2,500 acres. When Beaumont issued their bond, it was only for a couple of hundred acres. So the cost of the work becomes cheaper per acre on a bigger lot. Victoria, I'm getting to your question here in just a few minutes. Okay, I haven't scrolled. Everything hasn't scrolled off my screen yet, so I'm good. So I can catch up with the questions that, I can scroll back too. I just found that out. So I'm going to catch up with your questions that have popped up on the screen. So yes, other CDDs have bonds, and the smaller CDDs have some substantial bonds, much higher than what we're paying. Let's see. Can you deduct your bond payment or the interest from your taxes? No. Okay. Check with your tax consultant, but generally the answer is no, you cannot. Now, if you take and decide you're going to pay off your bond and roll that cost into your, your mortgage, well, you can do that. And then you can deduct the interest off your taxes. I mean, of course, tax laws keep changing, so that becomes a little tenuous. But the whole issue of I don't want to. How do I want to put this? Some people say I got to have a mortgage so I can get the tax write-off. To me, that makes no sense. That means I want to pay the bank $100,000 so I get a $10,000 write-off from the IRS. I'd rather just pay the IRS and not have a mortgage. All right, so you can't deduct the bond payment. This is a question that I get frequently. Should I pay off my bond? I can't answer that, okay? Only you can answer that based on your financial picture. Things to look at. Are you going to stay in the house long term? Okay. For me, that point was 6 years. After 6 years, I said, I'm probably not going to move. Anyway, so I paid off my bond on my first house. 4 years later, we sold the house. 5 years later, we sold the house. So shame on me. But anyway, the other question is, if you have money set aside, are you making more money on that investment than you're paying in interest on the bond? So, that's the other factor to take into account. If you're making more money, leave it alone, and just pay the bond. You never know. Are you going to live in your house 30 years? The odds are probably against it in this community just because of our age. So, there you go. Should you pay off your bond? That's up to you. Myself, I hate debt. So it's on my list that I'm paying off. I'm back to the baby steps from under Dave Ramsey's plan. I got my truck payment. I got to get rid of the payment on my truck, and I'm on track to do that about 3 years early. So, and I know I've only had it 2 months, but after that comes the bond, and I don't like debt. So that's my, yeah. All right. So what does it mean when they say low bond on a resale? Well, low bond on a resale generally means it's got a low balance. Why does it mean? Why does it have a low balance? Because it's an older home. Does it mean anything? In my book, no. Now, some houses, the bond is paid for. Andy and Mandy, who bought my house, they got the benefit of no bond. That's an attractive thing. That was $1,000 less a month they pay in property tax, or excuse me, on their tax bill. So low bond really doesn't mean a whole lot. You still got a bond. You're still going to pay it for however many years are left on that bond. It also means it's an older home. While you may have a low bond, you may have upcoming expenses, whether it be roof, plumbing, air conditioning unit replacement, what have you. So there's different trade-offs that you have to measure. All right. Again, why doesn't everybody pay the same bond amount? Now that's an option, okay? But is it fair? I have a certain amount of road frontage in front of my house, whereas somebody who lives in, let's say, the Enclave, which is some huge lots. They're premier homes. It's all premier homes. They have more street frontage. They also have bigger yards. So they have more drainage needs, okay? More streets, more drainage means more costs. You know, the facilities have to be bigger to pay for it. It's been bounced around a few times. The method they use has been going good for the last 30 plus years. I don't think they're ever going to change it. It just works with a community this size. Okay. Why do they keep raising the bonds amount on new homes? Well, that's, again, costs continue to go up. Now, a few years ago, I looked at the bond amounts for all the CDDs north of 466, okay, or excuse me, north of 44. And when you adjusted them for 3% inflation, the actual cost per acre over the year, and 3% annually per year, so this was covering a 25-year span, the average cost per acre for developing the community decreased once it's adjusted for inflation. So, I haven't looked at it for CDD 12, 13, 14, and 15, but I'm going to assume that trend is going to continue. The actual bond amount may increment slightly, just like it did when they moved south of 466, because the CDDs are bigger, there's more green space. That bigger green space means longer roads, and so a little bit more cost. All right. Can I pay my bond off when I buy a new house? Yes, you can. You can opt to pay off your bond when you buy the house. And that's great because it doesn't show up on your property tax bill. Okay. Again, why not just roll the cost of the infrastructure into the cost of the home instead of having a separate bond? All right. Let me give you the example. You go to buy a house and the developer says, or the sales rep says, over here is going to be the tee box for the third hole of the golf course. Right now it's just dirt, okay? It never happens. And this has happened in a lot of communities here in Florida especially. When I lived in Haines City, there were several communities where stuff like this happened. They ran out of money. Why did they run out of money? Because they had to sit on the cost of the infrastructure during a housing slowdown, during a sales slowdown. And it cost them more interest. They ran out of money. They didn't develop all the amenities like they said they would. Here in the villages, the developer is spending his money on swimming pools and recreation centers and softball fields and stuff like that, and not having it invested and waiting to get his money back for sewer pipes and storm drains. All right. All right, so questions about the bonds. We had a whole bunch come in, so I'm going to scroll back on my list and see what we got here. Vinny says, I see bonds have been used in numerous states and numerous builders. Not uncommon as you think. Again, it's definitely become more common. Bonds, and Puto Ludo says, bonds in California are called Melrose, and they add to your property tax bill. Very similar. Yep, okay. At least as a bond, you don't have to qualify for it like you do when the developer integrates straight into the purchase price of your home. That's true. You also don't have to pay property tax on it either. The disadvantage in the way things are, okay. Craig says the disadvantage is the way they are amortized along with the additional fee. You end up paying almost double the initial cost if you base the cost out for after 30 years. You're right. You're absolutely right, Craig. But it's no different than your mortgage. Okay, a 30-year mortgage note, you generally pay double. It just depends on the interest rate. Let's see. They must pay the bond expenses with all. They must pad. So they don't pad the expenses, Mark. It's an integral part of the development, the engineering cost. So it's just one of those things that they have to do. They also have impact fees they got to pay and things like that. Joe says it's difficult to read the examples with the chat on the screen. Sorry about that. Honestly, I forgot to take that into account when I was doing the PowerPoint. I should have. My apologies. So yes, you do pay your bond. Tammy wants to know about paying your bond with your property tax. It is on your property tax bill. If you grab your, what you call it? Let me go back to just the regular camera. That's the left camera. I need the right camera. All right. So this is your, what do they call this? Trim notice. There you go. If you look on the back of your trim notice, there's the non-ad valorem section, okay, and the different assessments. And at the bottom, you'll see your bond, and you'll also see your maintenance assessment. But that's going to be on your tax bill every year. All right. Let's see. Since the developer costs are in the bonds, their profit per house must be 100%. No. Profit per house is based on the cost of the house. It's not 100%. The only thing that's in the bond, the bond is the infrastructure cost. It's not the house cost of building the house. Okay. Let's see. Overlay the typical slightly better than financing it yourself, but still you pay a lot of money over the years. Yeah, anytime you borrow money, you end up paying interest big time, which is one of the reasons why I'm looking at paying off my truck 3 years early, in half the time. Anyway, Don, yep, corrects infrastructure costs, not building the house. Let's see, Craig Gaseller says, in a manner of speaking, you do because the bank will figure the debt-income ratio. Okay, yeah, all right. So that's talking about the note that you got to take. Vinny says most banks, brokerage houses offer a municipal bonds fund. These are normally only bundled and usually cannot buy individually. Bonds, to Don's point, Goldman Sachs is called a tax advantage bond or a tax-aware bond fund. Yeah, so you're buying bonds, and a lot of people have bonds in their investment portfolios. Myself, I told my financial advisor I didn't want bonds in my portfolio because I didn't want debt. Why would I buy somebody else's debt? It just didn't make sense to me. So mine is all in stocks, almost all of it in stocks, as much as I can. Can you write off the bond like you do property tax? No, you can't. Let's see. Craig says the best debt is no debt. I agree 100%, Craig. What are your thoughts on getting a loan on the bond to save on the interest fees? So the interests are pretty reasonable. They're at 5%. I think 5.17 is what we saw. Let's see. Let me pull it back up here. I'll just take a quick gander at. Oh man, where is it at? There we go. Phase 1, 5.19%, which is comparable to what mortgage rates are right now. So, is there an advantage to taking out a mortgage? I don't think so. The advantage is just getting rid of the dang thing. All right. Let's see. How does the golf course come into play with the bonds, or do they? So, Jim, they don't. Okay, the golf courses, executive courses are amenities. Championship courses are private property. The developer pays for those. That's part of the reason why the invoices are hundreds of pages long, because they document every little thing so that you're only paying for the groundwork and the water pipes in the residential section and not in the golf course. So the golf courses, the amenities, they don't come into play in the bonds. The developer sits on those costs, they get some of their money back via the amenity fees that you pay. But eventually they sell them and they break even. Let's see. Electric cost. Okay. Let's see. Frank wants to know about Victoria's question last week regarding electric cost. Do you know the average cost for pool service? I was paying $125 a month to T&D, but that included chemicals, filters, everything. Whatever the pool needed, whether it had to be shocked or whatever it needed, they took care of it in that fee. That included salt. Again, the filters for a pool are like $80, $90. So it works out. They replaced it every 3 months. So yeah, about $125. It depends on the size of the pool. Do you have to apply for the bond like you apply for a mortgage, car loan, etc.? Victoria, no, you don't. It's just part of the buying process. Does your credit score matter? Well, I'm going to say no. I mean, it is possible to live in this day and age without a credit score. That is my ultimate goal, is to have no credit score, which means I have no credit accounts at all, and it goes away. And you can live like that, and it's not difficult. You pay cash for everything, and that's where I'm at. I'm a huge disciple of Dave Ramsey. He preaches this stuff about how to manage your money, and that's part of the reason why I made it here when I did. So the credit score doesn't really matter except for your mortgage. I don't think the house should cost $200 per foot. Mark, well, that's just what it costs these days, $200 per square foot. I agree, it's a lot of money. Don't go to Lowe's or Home Depot, because you'll be shocked at the price of everything. The costs have gone up and up and up. Roxy says, thank you for the info and examples. Do you use golf cart paths as much as you use your motorcycle? No, I don't use the golf cart paths as much as I use the motorcycle or the truck, just because I can't get to my apartment in the golf cart, because my apartment is behind Lowe's up on 466A, and you can't cross that road in a golf cart legally. And I'm not about to get a ticket for something like that. My name will be all over certain websites about, oh, look at this, the county commissioner can't follow the law, blah, blah. Anyway, let's see. Craig says phase 2 is 4.7%. Oh, that's good. CDD 10 is 3.78%, if I read that correctly. Probably so. Yeah. All right. Whew. Man, we have been going. I apologize. I didn't realize it would take this long. So let's take a quick break, and we'll come right back. Thanks for sticking with today's broadcast of Gold Wingnut Live. Pardon me for just a minute while I go grab a fresh cup of coffee and stretch my legs and back. While you're waiting, let me ask you a quick question. Are you building a new home in the Villages and need someone with a trained eye to watch the construction for you and send you regular updates? Then contact me through my website, Wingnut.com, and arrange for a photo-video package of your new home. I've nearly 20 years experience as a construction project manager, and I've been offering this valuable service to residents for over 6 years. I know the work the various trades are doing, and I know when the work is being done right and when it's not. Fortunately, serious issues are rare, but even the most minor issues are better caught during construction than during closing. I'm not just taking pictures of your home like others do. I'm watching your home being built with a trained eye to ensure everything is done right. So go to goldwingnut.com and arrange for your package today. Now let's get back to the broadcast.
Please give a warm welcome to our guest this week, Henry
The horse. Thanks for having me on, guys. I will be honest, I do not like dogs too much. You really stole our spotlight.
Stole your spotlight? Dude, your spotlight has to be the size of the sun. What are you talking about?
I went to battle with humans. I went to wars with humans. Humans bet millions of dollars on us to race us. But then you get the title of man's best friend?
Fair points. But we give really good cuddles, which pretty much is unbeatable.
So we all know when people move into their homes, especially in Florida, we're limited for storage space. So what we do is we come in and help create storage space by maximizing what is currently available in their kitchens and their closets and other rooms. So a few of the things that we really pride ourselves on is communication with the customer, and our attention to detail is second to none. If you're looking to transform your kitchen, closet, or any other space in your home, give us a call or check out our website to book an appointment.
All right, we're back. I had to turn the ceiling fan on. Ooh, it's getting a little warm in here. I got a couple of Dave Ramsey fans. That's good to know. Thank you, Victoria. Victoria's comment was, how do you pay the bond? Mail a check online, or do you pay at town hall in the tax department? So, interesting question. But you pay it with your property tax. You can mail in your property tax. You can go to the tax collector's office here in the Villages or one of the other locations in Sumter County and pay it there. It's really just like any other place where you pay property taxes. Let's see. Eb says this home we lived in California was $720 per square foot. Yeah, California's crazy when it comes to prices. Ay. Let's see. The next phase that will open. Okay. That includes the profit margin. Okay. All right. Just trying to catch up on some of the what you call it? Text here. Let's see. Can you show us the next phase that will open after Lakeview, and which county will that be in? Thank you for all the info. So the next section is after Lakeview is Long Prairie. So let's go to the web page, the web browser screen, and I will show you that. So we're going to go to the Villages. Come on, go to the Villages map. So that's LaGrange, what's going on right now. We're going to zoom out, and right here, where you see Marsh Bend Trail coming out, this area coming across here, going all the way to McNeil, this whole lower section, this is going to be the next phase. This is the village of Long Prairie. I'm going to highlight some of that in 161. I got some great video of it this week. So that's what's coming. And then they're going to move to the north until they get up here into this northern section here, where the Meadows Championship course is going to be built. This is still, I mean, they've got the retention ponds in. They're putting in road bed. They're roughing in the road beds. They're putting in the underground storm drains and deep utilities. So that's where that's going. Let's go back here, and it's going to be in Sumter County. Pretty much everything for the next couple of years is going to be in Sumter County. What's not going to be in Sumter County, let's go back to this. So when we get, I'm going to zoom back out here. Okay. So you see this big blank spot down here? Starting right here where everything kind of stops, this is the Sumter Lake County line. Okay. So everything on the lower right corner of the screen, this is the old Secret Promise development. This is in Lake County. When are they going to start developing that? I don't know. They haven't made any progress on it that I've seen, but they've got all this here that they're doing. This is 2 or 3 years worth of work, and they're working down here. So it'll be a while before anything goes into Lake County. All right, let's go back here. Let's see. Mark says that reflects the value of the land, not the building. Okay. However, that is new and pre-owned. Unfortunately, the original profit margin for whatever built the home is baked into it. Yeah, okay. Let's see. East Coaster says, you know, okay, East Coaster, you know, I can get rid of the ads, okay? You want me to get rid of the ads? Write me a check for $500 because that's what it's going to cost you to get rid of these ads. These are people that support me. You obviously are some liberal who thinks that I should do for you something for free. I'm not asking anybody to pay me on this broadcast, okay? The ads are non-intrusive. Most of the screen is my ugly mug looking back at you. If you don't like the ads, don't watch. I don't care, okay? I'm so sick of this, well, the ads. I got news for you. Other YouTubers, they have ads too. Some of them, they get kickbacks from whoever they mention. It is what it is. You know, I'm sorry. Lost my cool. My apologies, everyone. Let us continue on. Yeah. All right, let's see. What happens? What happened to the latest update video? Did you decide to scrap it? No, I'm still working on it. Just got hammered this past week with a bunch of stuff. Mark, I'd love to just block them, but it becomes an issue because I don't know who he really is, and it has to do with what you call it, sunshine laws, and I don't want to get into it. It's not worth it at this point. From your experience, the 3 counties that span the TV, is one better than the others? Sumter County has got the better tax rates. Love the ad. Vinny says he loves the ads. Use my sponsors. Thank you. I appreciate it. Well said, Don. Love the show. Thank you for all you do. Thank you very much. Okay. Yes, I'm taking a breath. Thank you. Let's see. You're doing a job. Thanks for the ads. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, John. All right. So, yeah. Anyway. Anybody else got any questions? We've been burning it up today on the whole bond things. You know, what I will tell you what drove this. Somebody sent me a video, another one of these clowns that's dissing the villages. You know, oh, it's going to pot because they're raising the bonds and all this other stuff. And Debbie and I were in the car, and I played it for her as we were driving, and you know, we were both screaming at this clown because the stuff he said wasn't even true. You know, because all the supervisors work for the developer, he said. Well, no, that's not true. Most all the supervisors, with the exception of, I think, 4 in CDD 15, 2 in CDD 2, and all the supervisors in the commercial districts, all the rest are residents of the villages that live here. It's part of the process. Okay. Let's see. What else do we have? Love the show and the sponsors. Thanks. Okay. Must be a Gilbo fan. Yeah, I don't. We'll move on from that comment. All right. Has anybody noticed how beautiful the weather has been this week? Oh my gosh. If you saw the trailer for this morning, I was sitting in the truck with the dogs, and you know, I actually had another clip that I had done, and I thought it was better, and then I happened to be, after I started editing, I looked, and I got photobombed by Sully and Lily. They were dropping bombs. And I said, nah, that's not the one I want to use. So I ended up going with the one in the truck instead of the one in the dog park. Let's see. Oh, Vinny says he was fired up watching the Wackos during No Kings. Yeah. Isn't it amazing? I'm not going to go into that. It's better if I don't, because I don't have a very high opinion of the folks that were out there and their twisted outlook on how the world works, I guess is the best way to put it. Let's see. New to the area, is 301 getting widened at the Wildwood Turnpike. I see work, but it seems there to move slow. So work is just beginning on the widening of US 301 from 470 all the way north to the Florida Turnpike. It's 3 phases. They're going to start in the middle first. That's the least intrusive area. And it's going to take about 1.5 to 2 years to do. Yeah, doing roads is a tedious process. Just listening with my eyes closed now. Okay, thanks. Mark says, Mark says, can the dogs jump into the Blue Beast? Yes, they can. Sully jumps all the way up on the back seat, it comes to about right here on me. And he just jumps right up there. Lily jumps onto the rear floorboard, and away she goes. Yeah. Let's see. Amazing weather. Had the house open. Oh, I lost the screen on the screen, but it's okay. So John said, yeah. John and I had coffee. Was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday. And we originally planned to meet for an hour. We ended up talking for like 3.5 hours. Had a great time over at the coffee shop there in the new sales office in Eastport. Let's see. Don, a podcast posted from audio with show minimal extra work. Could be another source. Muskie, I agree. I could do that, but honestly, I got enough on my plate. So it just takes away from everything else I got to do. Any news yet on potential grocery store in Eastport? Haven't seen anything yet. They haven't broken ground on anything. It's just sitting there. Any update on the question that was asked 2 weeks ago? Can they change the speed limit on Warm Springs? I don't have an answer on that yet. But I will tell you that there are sections of Warm Springs that are 35 miles an hour. So I think it's a potential. Again, I'm looking into it. No Kings is psycho, I agree. Mark Edwards, it doesn't matter what we think a house should cost per square foot. The house sells for what the market will bear. Absolutely right there. The Turnpike expansion is an awesome thing for us all. The most accessible villages via the widening highway. The more accessible the villages is via a widened highway, the better for all values. So, yeah, the Turnpike widening is going to be painful. Okay, if you go south right now, it can get painful when traffic starts backing up, especially if there's an accident, because there's not a whole lot of ways to bypass around with all the construction going on working. Yeah. I'm not looking forward to it because I'm on the MPO, the Metropolitan Planning Organization for Lake and Sumter County. And pretty much we're going to have I-75, US 301, and the Florida Turnpike all under construction pretty much at the same time. That's 3 of the 4 major roads. The only thing left is 27441. 3 of the 4 major roads passing through Sumter County are going to be under construction at a time. It's going to be ugly in Sumter County for traffic for years to come. He may be on the spectrum, autism and all the text and colors. Okay. Sorry, I'm just going. Thanks for all your wealth of information. Much appreciated. All right. That's a speed trap for sure. Much too long and nice a road to be slow. That slow of a speed limit. Yeah, I mean, we're talking about the last half mile, making it 35, and it won't hurt to slow it down coming up to that intersection. because it's going to be a traffic light there. So you're definitely going to want to slow down. All right. Wow. Whew. Sorry. You know, my brain is just running a mile a minute while I'm doing all this. So it's always fun. But I had some issues last week with the audio on and some of the ads and some of the staging that I do. There's a bunch of macros that I create in my software here, and it just did not work yesterday. I finally figured it out today, and I was able to get up away from the computer at the mid-show break and stretch for a minute. Last week I had to sit here and keep hitting stuff because it didn't work right. All right. Yeah, hit the like button, folks. Appreciate it. Tell your friends. Let's see, what else do we have here? Great info. Thanks for what you do. Well, I appreciate that. All right. So we got here, how's the new Walmart coming? It's coming along. They're working on the 2 traffic lights. They're going to put a new traffic light on 44 and one on Warm Springs Avenue, 468, or excuse me, Marsh Bend Trail, 468, to help with entry and exit into there. Muskie, quit spilling the beans. The helicopters for the video. I'm saving it. So, anyway, let's see, where else do we got here? Yeah, so Muskie's talking about a helicopter that landed over in the village of LaGrange the other day. Got to speak to the pilot. He was on the ground waiting for something. But again, that's going to be in 161. I'm hoping to have it Monday or Tuesday, just because you know, once the video gets so old, it gets stale, and you know, it's not worth doing. I got to scrap it all again, so I don't want to get to that point. Let's see. Okay. All right. So, what else do we got? Anybody else? You know, I mean, I enjoy doing this. It definitely takes up my Sunday. I started again this morning. Well, I started this morning at about 5, and I got to the house, got the dogs, took them to the dog park, then came over to the house and was working all day trying to figure out the issues that I had last week. Like I said, I got them figured out finally. So it is what it is. Any quick videos? No, unfortunately I don't. Not this week. Trying to save the rest of it. But you know, you can watch the last half of last week's. I mean, I could play it again. It's still plugged into the system. But yeah, 161 is hot on the works. Lots of editing going on. There's so many aspects to editing a video. It's unbelievable, you know. And everybody likes the little maps and the compass and all that. That adds to the whole editing process. It adds a couple of hours, but a couple of hours here, a couple of hours there, and away you go. Where are you originally from? Eb, that's a great question. I'm not. Okay. I will say I was born in Illinois at Scott Air Force Base. I moved around my entire young life because my father was career Air Force, same as my wife. Her father was career Air Force. We met in San Antonio at Lackland Air Force Base when we were we sophomores? Yeah, we were sophomores in high school. Her dad then, I think he had to go overseas, so they moved to Virginia. But anyway, after high school, I joined the Navy. Spent 20 years moving around every couple of years. So I'm not really originally from anywhere. Home is the Villages and the city of Wildwood. Home is where I hang my hat. That's all there is to it. All right. Muskie says, when am I needing a gold wing fix? I binge watch starting in the first videos. Oh, don't watch the first videos. Oh my gosh. They are so bad. Especially the early voiceovers. Holy mackerel. Anyway, folks, you know, I think we're at a quarter after the hour. that's probably a good place to wrap it up for the day. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Again, next week, Zot says, I heard you say living at the apartments. Or are you moving back to the villages? This is always tough. I was living in the village of Hillsborough. That's my district. I have to live in my district as a county commissioner, so my residence is an apartment in my district, which is in the Wilds apartment complex behind Lowe's. My wife's residence is in Moultrie Creek. I spend a lot of time here with my wife and my dogs. I spend a lot of time at my apartment too. And it's to meet the legal requirements. Give me another 3 years. When this term is over, if I don't run again, then I will get rid of the apartment and, be full-time back in the villages. All right. Let's see. All right. So, anyway, yeah. It is what it is. I'll leave you with these thoughts. Life is short. Power is fleeting. Physical beauty lasts only a short while. All those who live long enough will also become weak and very vulnerable at some point. So let us be humble. Help the sick, the weak, and the vulnerable. And one day we too will exit the stage. So let us do this with humility, dignity, and honor, and the knowledge that our actions, and with the knowledge that through our actions we have left the world in a much better place. I'm Don Wiley. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. And next week we're going to talk about the maintenance assessment.
So we all know when people move into their homes, especially in Florida, we're limited for storage space. So what we do is we come in and help create storage space by maximizing what is currently available in their kitchens and their closets and other rooms. So a few of the things that we really pride ourselves on is communication with the customer, and our attention to detail is second to none. If you're looking to transform your kitchen, closet, or any other space in your home, give us a call or check out our website to book an appointment.
Thanks for watching today's broadcast of Gold Wingnut Live. These weekly broadcasts and the construction update videos are two of the ways I bring information to you about the construction happening here in the villages. At Gold Wingnut Productions, I also provide a photo video service for new homes under construction. If you're building a new home in the villages and you need someone to watch the construction for you and send you regular updates, then contact me through my website, goldwingnut.com, and arrange for a photo video package of your new home. I've nearly 20 years in the construction industry as a project manager, and in the last 6 years, Gold Wingnut Productions has provided this valuable service to over 300 homeowners. I know the work the various trades are doing, and I know when the work is being done right and when it's not. I'm not just taking pictures like some do. I'm watching your new home build with a trained eye to help ensure everything is done right. So go to goldwingnut.com and arrange for your package today, and I'll see you next week right here at Gold Wingnut Live.
Is your house gone?
No, you heifer. I take it apart on weekends to clean it out.
Sir, what's your biggest regret?
Not listening to my wife's advice.
What was the advice?
I ain't sure. I wasn't listening.
Excuse me, sir. Are you fishing?
No, sweetheart. I'm just letting the fish out so they can breathe.
Excuse me, sir. Are you cooking chickens?
Nope. These birds just like tanning real slow.
Excuse me, sir. Do you feed the cows?
No, sweetheart. In the afternoon, I give them money so they can go out to dinner.
Sir, did you know hot dogs aren't good for your health?
You know the difference between this hot dog and your opinion?
What?
The hot dog I actually asked for.
Sir, what's faster, lightning or light?
Diarrhea. Because I got home like lightning, turned on the light, and I had already shit myself.
Sir, did that tree land on your car?
No, you heifer. I parked it under there for the shade.
Grandpa, this is my girlfriend Paige.
Well, I'll be damned. That ain't just a page. That's the whole damn book.
Gerald, I just shaved the roast beef curtains. You know what that means.
Yeah, that means I got to get the snake out again and clear the damn drain. What did the egg say to the boiling water?
I don't know if I can get hard. I just got laid this morning.
Hey, Gerald, how many men does it take to open a beer?
None. She ought to have it open by the time she gets there.